This is an awakening.
Snap out of it!
The light dome.
Sometimes I wonder if that be the voice of God within the force of the heartbeat when it thunders. In the land, through it all, the way, words, divine, must say, a message. One would do well to listen. Take heed.
In the name of Allah,
You've been warned.
the compassionate, the merciful.
I saw the approaching of a storm. People fearing for their lives. Despair, regret, and the cries. It's amazing how we turn to the God only when the drama rise. Meanwhile, see the hypocrisy at an all-time high. Immoralities seen as a token of pride. Imagine looking at the world through a God's eye view, observing the hearts of men, the evil that people do. Imagine the effects on the mind of a newborn child. Looks to his father who thinks he's a woman now. How on earth can you believe you're worthy? Confused, the days of your life abused, misused. Sons of the ancients, draped away in the great abominations. In the belly of a beast nation, lost souls for sale in a pandemonium manifestation. Sin propagation. These are the days when the souls will wish to rest. These are the days when the righteous are put to test. Who among you will stand and fight the fight to stay true? Seems only a chosen few. The prophets and sages, sacred words that grace the pages, now perceived as all but lies and hated. By the token of time, man is at loss. I now see the real meaning of the blood on the cross. We crucify our own salvation. I sing a song of redemption. Am I my brother's keeper? Reality seen through the eyes of a dreamer. It's a wonder how the heavens aren't yet rent asunder. Forgive me, Lord, I didn't know. Just an amateur. False gods, graven images, all the damages. I remain thirsty for divine mercy. A soul journey in a world of vanity and drapery. I see a light in the attic. Those who've had enough break away from the madness. Notwithstanding all the doom and gloom and sadness, never despair in the end. Blessed be the righteous, keep the light lit. Our victory, focus on the highest. All praises to the greatest, to the wisest. Taught by the pen, the way. Freedom from our crisis, truly divine bliss. When I'm able to say what I see, I speak these words in such a way it paints a mental picture like sacred scripture carved in stones or baked clay. All I'm trying to do is make sense of what I observe throughout the day. How often have these words been passed down? I'm spinning around and around. I'm spinning around and around. How will you be? it seems too easy. I can see the broken street lamplight peeking meekly down the alley. I grab my coat because the night chill surrounds round about me. Was with the speeding red and blue lights, speeding down the street like a grim reaper. When the light turns on, I can even sight the sounds. I notice the waves of the world fighting hard to twist me upside down. Some may say my observations are spacely, very necessary to consider wisely the use of every heartbeat. If you were me, if you could see what I see, if you were me, but you're not me, or so it seems too easy. The agony of forgetting crucial inspiration. I feel so heedlessness, especially knowing once I put my mind to do a thing, it's only by the will of the God that's speaking it to being. So many shades of faces, what to make of all the way we occupy the spaces. Once I had a dream, then that dream, a most peculiar scene. I held a dish with a citrus, sprouting out large green leaves. Here today, gone tomorrow, pain that nobody sees, woe that notices the sorrow. They say if I'm a righteous man, I'll receive a book in the right hand. There I go, drifting all beyond the night sky again. There I go, refusing to be blind again. There I go, going against the grain of lies again. In the heavens, that's a win. In this world, you pay the price. I close my eyes to see, and what I see often no words to say. When I'm able to say what I see, I speak these words in such a way to paint this mental picture like sacred scripture, carved in stones or baked clay. All I'm trying to do is make sense of what I observe throughout the day. How often have these words been passed down? I'm spinning around and around. I'm spinning around and around. If you were me, if you could see what I see, if you were me, but you're not me, or so it seems too easy, too easy. Snap out of it! In the name of Allah, the compassionate, the merciful. Mic check 1 2 1 2. Just making sure my voice could be heard. Okay. Looks like it could be heard. First, I'd like to greet you by saying Salaam Alaikum, Shalom, Hotep, peace and blessings be with you. This is your brother Abdul Wadud, aka Questman, coming at you live, Soul Journey of Life, Conscious, Social Media. I'd like to welcome those who will view this live, and the hope is that, the words I say and the content that comes from this live is something that, you'll find, beneficial, useful. There's plenty of things that we can watch, but sometimes, I just like to speak from the heart. And, I'm one video amongst many videos, so I appreciate all those who have the opportunity to take the time out and listen to what your brother has to say. So, a lot has been going on, and both locally and abroad in the world. There's a lot of things that can really, if I can say, hijack your mind, maybe even your soul, you understand, and really put you in a place where, you could be overwhelmed, you understand, and sometimes you have to step to the side
kind of let the weather flow as it will, and just be an observer. So sometimes in some situations it's better to be just a mere observer rather than a participant, because sometimes you can see things that you may not have always noticed, as a direct participant. Sometimes you see things clearer just observing. And I'm not necessarily talking about what you might see of the drama of the world, but sometimes you get a better look of your own reflection in the mirror. You look at that, and you ask yourself, in contrast to what you're seeing in the world, what part do you have to play in all of that? How do you fit in? If the world is like this, if the world is such and such a way, how do you fit in that scope of the world? Are you an instrument in the drama of the world, or are you an instrument um, as a remedy, if you would, or an antidote to the poisons of the world? And that's a hard question, that even for me, that I often ponder, when I get up and go about the day, what part am I playing? Because, it's easy for many of us to, shalom, dear family, peace and blessings, welcome. It's easy for many of us to carry the torch of righteousness and say, well, I'm righteous. I'm one of those who do good. I'm one of those who are upon the chosen path. These are easy words to say. But I often wonder when I look in the mirror how much of those words or claims are valid. Personally, I don't even like to claim that for myself, because when I think of people, that I identify with righteousness, um, I don't feel like that I'm fit to stand in their shoes. Um, you know, in comparison. But tonight's live, and I'm gonna put a link in the chat here shortly. Tonight's live, I want to kind of arrange things in a certain way. As you see by the title is the Book of You. So I often have said, you know, if we were to think of like sacred scriptures and writings to be an ongoing thing, in other words, the chapters never stop. They keep on going, even up into our own lives. What would our stories say as a collective of people and also as individuals? There is this expression in some scriptures that that we will have we our life is written. You understand, um, that what we've done, what we will do, um, right or wrong, good or evil, is scribed down and will be weighed accordingly. Okay, but what I'm more or less talking about is, what does your book have to say through your own eyes? Not through the eyes of the interpretation of other people, but if you were to be honest with yourself, what is your story about? You understand? And I'm not just talking about, uh, you know, the drama we may have participated in or something like that. I'm talking about experiences that you've had that really, made you think a little bit about your life. Maybe even um, turning points where all the way up until such and such an age, maybe you were behaving this way or operating that way. And then you came to a certain point in your life and it was like an awakening of a sort. Something you may have seen, a dream you may have remembered. Maybe you were standing by the riverside on a bridge or something, and it just hit you, and from there on, your life went in a different direction. Maybe that happened once only. Maybe that happened several times. But what would be interesting to know is your life experience, the type of experience that for you stood out as divine, even. You understand? As in, this was your moment of self-realization. This was your moment of a wake-up call of a sort. Um, I know I've heard of some who've shared stories where their wake-up call was at the point where they were facing uh, the possibility of dying. You understand? And yet they didn't die, but because they were at that point where everything looked like they were going to die. That puts a certain mental state for them to have. You understand? Your mind is adjusting to this possibility, um, to the point where you've got to come to terms. Then all of a sudden you're told, well, no, you're not going to die. You're recovering. I'm speaking also from a personal experience. Some of you may not have known, but um, you know, in the past, like within about I'd say about 2 years now. It's now 2 years have passed. I was in the hospital myself, and I was told that the type of injury that I was suffering, which was affecting my lung, my right side, was critical, and it could be such a condition that you know there, there, there's no way out of it. And so it was even making it difficult for me to breathe and everything. But while I was in that condition, I just started thinking to myself, like, well, there's a lot of things that I wish I could have completed, that I could have done, that I didn't get to do. Um, there's a lot of things that uh, perhaps I wish I didn't do, and it's all there. And there's then I thought about, well, what about the things that I made myself perceive to be righteous, and wondering if, in the sight of divine eyes, it's seen the same way. And I say that because sometimes we believe ourselves to be doing righteous actions, and we might be causing more drama than remedy. So often I question myself, and even outside of that scenario, I kind of live day to day asking, are the things that I'm pursuing, are the actions and the steps that I'm taking, are they in sync? Are they in harmony with the divine, or are they selfish, or are they irrelevant? Like, whether I did or did not do it, it wouldn't make any difference. Um, Always asking these questions. So it brings about, what is this book, the book of you? What does that mean? What does it mean for you? I can express to you and share with you something of what it means for me, like I'm doing here now. But I think each of us, somehow, we have a different story to tell. We have a different, narrative or content. And yet, at the same time, I'm somewhat convinced that if I were, like, for example, and I might even do this, if I were to go about and ask people directly and specifically, what their book would be about, the book of them, there'd be something that's common through each person that ties it all together. Um, because I know in some way, our pursuits are, you know, are very common amongst each other. The things that people strive for, there's something that's similar between one person and the next. Um, Depending, their talents, their personality, all these things that make up who you are going to be part of what decides what you chase after, what you look for. Personally, I'm an individual who grew up, like some of the people who don't have a family. I know how that experience goes very well, and that's the life I've had to live. So, I've literally had to um, develop in my mind a sense of family. In other words, there'd be people who I would identify with that I, felt I could trust, or that I felt I could rely upon, and in some form or fashion, they became family like to me. And I can easily say that some of these are individuals who uh, inspired me and motivated me and have, a great impact on the type of person that I am today. Um, Maybe even the way I talk, maybe even the way I present myself. Maybe there's something in there that comes from, the upbringing that I had. So, it's some people might see, it as a bit unorthodox, but it is what it is. And I will say that it's made me the type of person, like in the present day, that's, I would say, more receptive to diversity in people. And there is limitations, because there is where I would say values that I uphold, that they form like a barrier. They form like a sort of a circle around me. You understand? That I would not cross or want anyone to cross against me. So even while, I'm more receptive to differences of opinions, different, points of view about life, um, there's a limitation. So, I've shared some things in the past, about my own personal experiences that I felt were uh, divine-like. But like I said, I'm more curious uh, to meet or find or communicate with people that have, something of their own to share. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna continue to talk. I'm going to put this link into the chat, and to afford an opportunity to travel, in this way. Recently, I've, had a lot on my mind, a lot on my plate in life, and sometimes it's been overwhelming. Sometimes it's been very stressful. Sometimes it's kind of limited me to being able to operate in the way that I had been accustomed to. I've had to kind of shift paths and navigate and find my way. Uh, Often because it's like I'm the only one there, uh, and if I don't, then it won't happen. And that's kind of what I've learned in more recent times. Um, I could say if I had the main content that I would have, that I would notice in a book, the book of me, so to speak, would be of an individual who's been struggling to make his way through life, with his greatest desire being that of one who desires family, and family, that concept always being elusive, or in some kind of way just in reach but not fully grabbable, fully able to grab a hold of it. And at the same time, often I can be honest and say, there's often a feeling of distance from people who may not understand what that's like, because they've grown up with family, their mother, father or mother and father, growing up with brothers and sisters, aunts, uncles, nieces, nephews, cousins, and they know them all by name. They've been to their funerals, all these kind of things. Even makes me think about an individual who was talking, to me about an argument he was having with his father. And he was so upset about how this argument went. And he was, just saying all kinds of things about his father. And I was like, that be that must be nice to have an argument with your father. He was like, well, what do you mean? Well, how could that be nice? Well, because you have a father to have an argument with. Me, I can only dream of what that experience is like because I don't have one of those. At least for the first 5 years of my life, I did. But after that, the idea of growing up with a father is absent in my ability to, my experiences. So I said, for me, I would enjoy having a father to argue with, because maybe there might be something I could learn or a perspective that I might have that I wouldn't have had I, I can argue with myself, but that's not going to get the same result as someone with a completely different point of view, and not just anyone, but your elder, the one who sired you into the world. So that's a different experience, because this, the interaction that I would have with a father would be one of honor and respect. I may not agree with everything, but there's always going to be an honor and respect. And it's interesting to me because it's the same thing. How people talk about, if I had $1 million, this, that, and the other. It's always interesting to me the comments that people make that don't have the very thing that is under discussion versus the people who have it. You understand? And the complaints that they have while having it. This is the story that I would read if you were to open this book. This is what you would see. So family has always been a critical chase point in my story. Some people, they chase wealth, they chase fame, they chase, any number of things like that. Some of us, wealth is nice, fame is okay. Me personally, I'm not too amused by, popularity and fame necessarily. I think for me, the only use it would have would be able to increase my ability to communicate and promote, or maybe there'd be some business ethics in there somehow or somewhere. But outside of that, I'm not the type of person that likes to be all, in your face necessarily. But at the same time, I don't necessarily desire to be a hermit, although, it's not problematic for me either. But it's always interesting to me, when I communicate with people about the importance of family and things like that, and the struggles that they express to me about their family. Because in the back of my head, I'm always wondering, like, that must be a nice experience. Even though they're not telling me it's a nice experience, I'm just thinking, like, man, that would be nice. But so the pursuit of family has pushed me into a direction to where I myself manifest as a father, and that is a journey all by itself. That is obviously not quite the same as being someone's son, but now it's the other way around. It's someone's looking up to me as their parent. So, what would the book of you have to say? See, what I'm expressing to you might sound foreign because it's not your book. So your book might be swarmed with, you know, uh, feuds with your brother, you know, good times with your sister, going to the park, going to the movies, who knows, whatever, dinner time with the family. But these are just small, sections that they may not even be small, but these are just parts of what made you who you are today. I know there are people who often like to say, about their achievements. Well, I did this all by myself. I got here all by myself. Nobody helped me. I made all these achievements by myself. I don't believe any of that because I don't think it's possible in any kind of way. Even as a person who's a soloist like myself, I can honestly tell you, that growing up, there were key people that I met in my life that, were factors in the character that I have today. And, you know, where I stand today would not have been possible had it not been for certain people that I've met along the way. It wouldn't have been possible. So I can't ever say, I got anywhere by myself. Um, but all the same, I would like to break bread on something like that. Sometimes, we have to take a moment of pause, I believe, and just, be social again. I'm talking about on an intellectual level where we can have a conversation. You understand? Um, that's more down to earth or more, uh, you know, with the intent on building together. And I was thinking about, something I saw on one of these platforms. It might have been Instagram or something, where somebody was saying a joke to a sister, and it was an innocent joke. It wasn't anything like harsh or nothing. But the sister was offended by it. And I'm not saying she, didn't have a right to be offended, but I was just thinking about how easy it was for her to be offended over something that, you know, outside of social media. If people were more social, that would have been something like if she knew the person that was making the joke, that was part of the problem. She didn't know the commentator who was making the joke. But if she did, she probably wouldn't have been upset. She would have been like, "Ha," and said something, fired something back at her. You know what I mean? One jab for another. But I'm just thinking about how distant people have become. When it comes to just everyday things, everyday talk, everyday socialization. Where if you aren't on their tab of Facebook friends, what are you doing talking to me? That's the mindset that some people have, and it's it makes it a challenge for people like myself who who thrive off of um, human interaction, human natural human um, mingling and things like that, and as opposed to you know even something like this. To be honest, if you something like this for me back in the days would have been, you know, outside somewhere, kicking it somewhere. Maybe we'd be at a park, library, maybe not, I don't know a library, but sometimes, um, or wherever we would be kicking it at, and next thing you know, we would be chopping it up back and forth, sharing thoughts just like this. All right, peace and blessings. Now I'm going to say this, brothers and sisters, come up on the platform. This is Soul Journey of Life. So my only disclaimer is that we communicate in a way that we want our own children to appreciate. That way we can have a pleasant conversation. Peace and
All
blessings.
right. What's up, big bro? How you feel?
I'm doing what I do. I keep standing up. For some reason, every day I look, open my eyes, I keep standing up.
I feel you.
Some won't let me sit down.
I always reflect on a conversation that you and I always argue about, right?
Okay, here we go. All right.
And to a certain extent, I'm gonna have to say that I'm wrong and you're right.
Uh-oh.
And the reason I say that, I mean, and you know what I'm going at, you know what I'm talking about. It's that one word, unity.
Unity. Okay.
And the more I say our people can't unite, the more I live every day, I understand why we can't unite. And part of it is, and most of it is distractions in our life. And no matter what distraction it is, no matter what, if you like religion distraction, if you like, BS distraction, if you like knowledge distraction, sometimes it's just too much knowledge out there to the
Yeah,
point
yeah.
where you don't even know where to go to. You feel what I'm saying?
Man, that's
So
powerful
one
right
thing
there.
over my little journey I've been in the last couple of months, one thing that always resonates to me is that, Soul Bro said, we need unity.
Yeah.
And the more I fought you about it, of how that can't happen, the more I think about it, you're absolutely right. We need more unity. We need more like mind because some of our color people aren't going to make the unity block, and I understand that. And that's what I think I was stressing to you
Yes.
back in the day is that we can't because of the mindset of people. But those motherfuckers gonna have to get left behind. I'm just sorry. That's
Right.
just how it is.
So,
We just gonna have to leave some people behind, bro, because
so
what
that
we
that
want.
that that puts a condition on the we then. That's saying exactly what you're talking about. That when we say we, what we can do, the we includes all those people who would do it, and
Right.
excludes all the people who won't.
Who not? Yeah, you're right. Absolutely right. I didn't. I guess you. I mean, through your explanations, you wasn't saying just that. You get what I'm saying? It was more like what we need to do and how we need to do it. And
Yeah,
my mind wasn't going there with it. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
the more I watch how people just lost in this world. You know what I mean? I'm not saying I'm on the fine tuned, yellow brick road to heaven or to wherever extinction. I'm
right,
not
right.
saying that. I'm just looking at from where I came to where I am now, hopefully to what I become. And then I'm
Tell me
just
something.
seeing. Go ahead, bro.
Now, this is. I'm not trying to get too much into politics or whatnot of the thing, but
Go ahead.
there's conflict going on in the world, right?
Right.
But I'm putting this here just to put a perspective out regarding unity, and it's a perspective that I think as a people, the we that would be unified will have to come to terms to one day. There's a people who daily are being destroyed with bombs and whatnot over their heads, right?
Right.
As we speak, they wake up and their little boys and little girls, the arm is over there, the head is over there, right?
Right.
But one of the things you notice is that said people are unified, and I'm wondering what compelled them, where they knew that they got to be unified no matter what. What moved them, when
They
as
might
a
not have
people,
the distractions we have, bro.
hmm,
You get what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
if you don't have the distractions that we have in the United States, then your focus probably is, like in China. I was watching this on Instagram. I was watching this classroom in China, right? And
yeah,
I'm watching these 5 and 4-year-old children, right, all in sync, doing this
hmm,
dance that the teacher's doing in the front of the room. They are jamming with it in
wow,
sync as 4 and 5-year-olds. You know what I
yes,
mean? They're in sync.
yes,
4 and 5-year-olds, I was coming home watching cartoons. That was my sync. You get what I'm saying? And like-minded, most of the people was doing the same thing I was doing. Saturday morning cartoons, come outside, run around the street ball.
yep,
We wasn't in sync with anything. You get what I mean? Right. If anything, we made our own sinks and come. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I just watch the distractions that we have, and I think it's a deeper meaning to the distractions.
So on that note, you could agree that the said people that I was referring to, they don't have these distractions. They have raw reality hitting them right now. Raw reality. Meaning there's no.
I think
corners to
all of us have the distraction, bro. I think some people just act on the distraction. Some people act on the distractions. You know, when I say distractions, meaning music, movies, things that people can visualize or listen to and act upon that. You get what I'm saying?
Hold on. Let's deal with that because something just popped in my mind to throw in there. I was watching. I just happened to be minding my own business, watching the internet feeds and whatnot, and you know, I saw, you know, what the politicians are trying to, you know, do, and it made me think about how people perceive the minds of the melanated people in the U.S. Right, and what I'm talking about is what they presented in order to promote their agenda or whatever they're pushing, and the icons or the imagery and personalities that they put out there to dance and drape an audience away. And I'm thinking, well, who's the audience that's intended by this? There's an audience intended that this is communicating to, that they're hoping that this would push their agenda in their favor. It also told me something else about what our potentials are. You understand? Right. Because I'm saying, well, if they've got to go through all of these hoops and dances to grab my attention and to try to move me to pursue a certain political opinion, what am I that this is what they would do to achieve that? Who am I for this to be their approach? You know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about. A project, bro. I think this is my opinion, okay? My opinion is about president race. They already know who's gonna be in the presidency. They already know who's next. You know, so it's nothing that your vote can do. I think they like to see who's still voting, if you ask me.
Right.
You know, it don't matter. They just like to see who's still voting, who still believe in this system. You know, and that's how I feel, bro. I mean, don't get me wrong. They got me once. You know, they got me in with the first Barack. They didn't get me. My folks got me.
Yeah.
And they ain't, because I had no intentions. I didn't give to, you know what I mean? And my folks was the one pushing me to history. And I broke stride. And after that, I said, I ain't never breaking again. No, I'll never break again. You know, not just with voting, but just with anything from that point. And that's part of how I am. That's part of how my mind stays one way for a while until, you know, the smoke settles and I'm able to adjust, you know, what the teacher was trying to teach at that time. Because at first I am all combative. You know what I mean? I am one of the ones who, you know, I want to. If you can't tell me exactly what I want to hear, then I'm going at you. You know,
right?
And
turn right.
With you, it was a little different. You know, you stood strong on your unity battle. I mean, we battled for over a year or so about this. Just every time we cross each other, we just had words and the unity word come out, and I slammed you for it. And I ain't gonna lie, I wasn't slamming you. I was slamming myself. You feel what I'm saying? So, you know, I always have to come to you and appreciate you for whatever you taught me, you know, in the journey. So, much respect.
Here's what happens with me, because anytime I'm talking or whatever, you know, it's almost like, and I think I've said this before, like I put a mirror right here in front of me, and that's who I'm talking to. So what keeps me in whatever position or out of whatever position I might be in is I'm asking myself these questions. You know, I'm trying myself. Just like I was saying earlier, I don't know if you were hearing me. You know, for me, is I'm seeking my own validation, an honest validation, not some silly, ego booster type thing. But I'm like, man, what is my value here? You know, I'm in this. I can easily point the finger and say, well, these people are corrupt. I'm talking about our own people. I'm not talking about anybody else. But out of our people, these people are messed up. These people's heads are messed up. Well, I'm like, wait a minute. I'm from these people.
Right.
So who am I? You know, and I'm asking myself, who am I amongst them? You know, because I don't see myself better than or greater than, or like here I am floating on Aladdin's carpet, and there you guys are like, oh, there you guys are spreading mischief, abomination, shame, guilt, thieves, liar. None of that. I'm walking amongst, and in such a way that if you were to zoom the camera out, where'd I go? So that's what happens to me. It's like more and more, I'm like really looking at my how I've manifested in this life, and I don't want to sound, I'm sounding how I would say it. I don't know how else to put it, but I'm looking at my usefulness or lack thereof in existence. So even as I'm talking about unity and things like that, like you were talking about, I'm looking at my own self. I'm like, well, am I unified? Am I a part of those who are unifying? Or am I talking about unity while at the same time not being unified? So it for me, that's what happens when I communicate. I'm communicating from what's really going on in me, from a position that this is as honest as I could possibly be and communicate in a world where you have to be strategic. You have to be, you have to stand on your square. You have to, you don't want to let the enemy see you sweat, all these things. And so it's like a very narrow bridge that I have to walk upon. A very narrow bridge.
I feel you on that.
Yeah. And so that's why, when I Shalom, dear sister, I'm looking at the commentary. That's why, the even the title of this show is the book. What's that?
I was saying salute to Leslie.
Yes, indeed. That's why the title of this live is the Book of You, because oftentimes the reason why I titled it this way, because oftentimes we're always reading about our ancestors and those who came before us, or a variation of our ancestors told in another form or in another story or another twist of it. And so I'm like, well, okay, that's fine. But it's the same thing that, I was saying to someone some years ago. Often when we read about these stories, it's the same effect that we get when we're learning, when we're watching Disney cartoons. There's nothing that we're roped into. My cat is trying to climb on my leg. There's nothing that we're roped into where we see it like I'm talking to you right now.
Right.
You understand? I'm talking to a living soul, a living person right now, and I'm maybe I'm passionate or this or that, whatever the case may be. But often when I hear people talk in terms of textual states of mind, it starts to sound artificial, or more like someone holding on to like a life, them life rings that are on boats,
right?
And because they don't know what else to do. And I'm not saying this to belittle anybody, but for me, I have it's like when I take a deep breath of air, I'm relying on the fact that, I'm going to breathe in and then my body operates as it should so that I don't take any contaminants. And if it does take contaminants, that my body will do the best it can to fight it off. And if it don't, then guess what? Right? So,
Yeah.
Oh man. So my point is that when I'm here, I'm in this world, I have a story, but what makes my story distinct in a library full of all of our stories? You know, if you walk into a library, you're going to see, you know, let's say imagine walking into a library and all you see is Britannica encyclopedias. Nothing's going to
Right.
stand out to you, right? They're all going to have the
Right.
same covers, the same spines, everything. But, you know, when you walk into like a fiction section, you're going to see different books with different shapes and sizes poking out, different colors, different
Right.
sleeves, everything.
A little bit more intriguing.
Right, to catch your attention, like, ha, read me. You see the big letters and the shiny blue cover, read me. But but our life tends to be more like the Britannica section. And even if I were to, be on this live, standing on my head or doing something, it might get a laugh for a little while. I might get a little shine and, you know, what's the young brother's name? And I love this brother because I feel like, you know, he's full of joy. This is a Ting Ting. You ever heard of Ting Ting?
Tank.
Yeah, he's from I think he's from Nigeria maybe, but he's he popular trending guy on a young brother on Instagram. Like they have people dancing to his songs and everything. Anyway, my point
And
is,
please don't tell me that dude that sound like a damn bird.
I think
It's some dude serious. It's a song, dude. Like he don't say nothing through the whole song, but a girl, like just like that. And
got me laughing, man. That's all I know. He had me cracking up. But
I don't
my
know if that's
point,
him or not, but it's real.
yeah, he's trending. But you know, the thing is that I was wondering as I'm watching his ratings and trends and likes and all that. I said there'll come a day where what got him trending fades away, and people are looking at that like, oh, that was then. What are you going to do now? What do you have for yourself now? And how will you be able to cope when that moment passes? And
I think that's where growth come in at. Like when you get trending, like say if you get trending online, you know, for whatever you're doing, you have to understand that ain't gonna work forever. You know, it's a guy from Baltimore, right?
yeah,
And he does this dance. The dance is about no more than 8 seconds long. And he is popular. I done seen the kid on the news, you know, on the morning news. I done seen the kid doing parties. He comes in, he do this 8 second dance, and he leaves. And he's just trending. He's like one of the number one trending guys in Baltimore.
for
And
8 second
again,
dance.
like 8 second dance, bro. He dancing the little Boosie song. I'm Zach. It could be about 12 seconds, but it's not long. You know what I mean? Like it's not a whole dance set. It's just about a 10 to 12 minute dance, and he's out of there, and he's trending for that. But now that I watch him, I'm seeing him doing all types of just he still do his dance. You're still seeing him for 2-3 years doing the same little dance, but he's doing other stuff too. And he became like number one trender. He done met a couple famous people, and
Yes.
the boy doing good. And it's a drummer from Baltimore too, same way, trending online, doing this little drumming thing, and he done met Steve Harvey.
But there's something about this that's really making me reflect, and that's like, you know, when a baby's born, right? When a baby's born, they're innocent to everything. They're innocent. Their mind is like a brand new blank piece of paper. It has nothing on it except for oneness, except for self, except for something that can be spoken with words. That's all that's on the piece of paper. Until he meets his parents and the surrounding environment or whatever the case may be. Then that's when these impressions start to come upon him. But what's happening today is a certain mind is being made. A certain kind of mind is being styled or fashioned to where people are being made to think and operate a certain way. And what this causes, on one aspect, it causes, it's kind of like a dehumanization effort. And which makes sense if you're a people who seek to control a population. You want to remove all
I hate to
kinds
say
of
you saying that like they don't say that. They say that. They say depopulation like
yeah.
in rallies and stuff like, and when we depopulate the world and the people start
Yeah.
cheering, like, what?
They
Are y'all listening?
They don't bite their tongue at all. They that right there tells you everything you need to know. When it's like a person saying to you, "I'm going to take your life," and saying it very square and plain, right? And you're like, you're laughing and everything, but the person is like
Serious.
serious,
Right.
right?
Right.
They don't see what's funny, or maybe they are laughing with you, like, yeah, you heard what I said, but that's what's happening now, and that, oh man, that says a lot about the level of concern, or can I say concern? Because I'm thinking to myself about those who
I
came
mean,
before us.
sometimes you gotta call it what it is. That's a level of ignorance among the people, and I hate to say it, that among the masses, because
Yes.
these people can tell you in your face that they need to depopulate the world, and you'll still cheer for them.
Right.
Like, that's something that even shouldn't be. That's something that shouldn't even be said. It's not even a phrase that should be thought of when it comes to government. Depopulation.
And you'll
That's
do
saying
whatever
there's
it
too
takes.
many people in the world and there's not enough room for them. Okay,
Right.
I can walk out in the county right now and it's 30 acres of field right here. We can build houses an acre a piece and still, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to hear none of that, bro. I don't want to hear none of that.
It's sad, but it's very true. It's very true. But here's the thing that I've got to put forward. I'm looking at our ancestors, right? And the more back I go, the more I'm looking at how are our ancestors in moments of crises, and I'm talking, and in this case, it's mental crises as well as spiritual, whatever you want to say. But how were they? And what I'm talking about specifically is the people of knowledge, because in today's time, the only way this can possibly happen is if the people from amongst us that would have been our impressioners, our mental organizers, must be asleep, or their modus operandi is not in the same plane as, say, for example, social media, popular media outlets and whatnot. Here, so what I'm saying, for example, right now, people would watch this because it's on YouTube, which means that whatever audience of people that watch YouTube will likely see this. But the people who pursue a certain path of knowledge, this might not be the a focal point that they would ever even pay attention to in the first place. So, do you
So let me
understand what
ask
I'm
you a
saying?
question. Let me ask you a question. It's gonna tie into this.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think we're smarter than our ancestors was?
No, I don't.
Okay.
And the reason why I say I don't, I think that we've fallen like a rock.
Okay.
Because even when I look at when I think about like the people of knowledge that I respect, that I've heard about or have met in my own lifetime, like I've heard about Ivan Van Sertima, the historian, great historian. But you see, these are few select people that you could pick out of a mass of people. Okay, like imagine I don't know what city you're from, but imagine somebody said everybody come outside, right? And you just see a whole field of us just scattered everywhere. But out of that, here's Ivan Van Sertima. Here is Dr. Layla Africa, or so I'm just saying names, right?
I got you.
Just just little sparks here and there, little sparks of light
Yeah,
here and
but
there.
what stopped the potential of everybody being those people?
I think that some that there has been. First of all, we have an adversary. That's something that has to be recognized, and it's one of the things that the adversary himself or the adversaries themselves have made it a point to belittle or shame anybody who dares to say that they are an adversary. So that helps to hinder any intellectual growth and it turns people away from actual true intellectual growth to a artificial intelligence. You understand? Or an artificial mind control programming versus actual intelligence. In other words, you don't have to think about it. Just Google it. You don't have to do the research. It's in Wikipedia. You don't have to know anything. All you have to do is type in a few words and AI will write the whole lecture for you.
All right.
What kind of mind is that making? Think about, someone like Runoko Rashidi. He traveled all across the world in pursuit of his knowledge, going in some of the deepest places for research. If you look at that's what I was talking about, our ancestors. Our ancestors made milestones in their pursuit of knowledge. They weren't joking around. These people, I mean, when they put a pen down, you knew they was going to write something that had value. And this was what was in them from the results of their research. But today, hold on, brother. Let me Google that first, and then I'll get back with you. You don't know anything? Why do we need to pause now? In fact, when I communicate with some people, sometimes, often I make it a point to let them know. I said, you don't see any books with me, do you? I'm not carrying around a book or a bunch of a backpack full of books and pamphlets. What you see is what is coming from me. You understand? From my journey, and that's what I speak. But it seems like this is rare because even when I present this, the attitudes from people is like, this is strange. This is a strange thing to think. What is that? What are you doing? You're thinking? What is that? Like, oh, my pardon. I forgot I was supposed to Google it first.
But you're my age, right? So that's now. Like back when we was in junior high, middle school, elementary school, if you didn't have 26 encyclopedias in your spot, then you had to go to the library.
Yeah.
When you come home from school, you go to the library, you had to sit in there for 2 or 3 hours, just gathering the information if you didn't have, a library card to bring your book home.
Yes.
You had to sit there and read this information, which it planted it in your brain.
Yeah.
Now, just like Google Maps,
Mm-hmm.
I don't need Google Maps. All you gotta do is give me directions, tell me which way to go. I need Google Maps for the directions, but I don't need Google Maps to guide me every single turn here, there. I don't need all that. I know north, east, south, west.
I can remember one time we was driving somewhere in the States and we had Google Maps on or Waze or one of them, and something happened where it made the guide dot or whatever go off trail, and because we weren't in like a area where it could connect, right?
Right.
And there was like, oh shoot, what are we going to do? I said, don't worry, I got this. And right then and there, immediately my mind started looking at the sun and where the position of the moon was. At that time, it was the moon. The moon, I was looking at, I saw, well, there's Orion's belt. Then later, when I saw some other constellation, I knew where I needed to go. I knew the direction that we were facing. I knew that if we went a certain certain ways, that we would meet a certain point that I would recognize. I would look around like, okay, there's that gas station. There's this place. I already know where we are. We need to head north. And it was like instinctive, like just like it was there, built in.
That's how observant I am. Like when I'm driving, I'm looking because on my way back, I want to see the same things that I was looking when I drive, and I look for these things. You get what I'm saying? That's just the mind of the older. You know, if they wipe all of us 50 or 40 and over out of here, then who's left? It's going to be a bunch of lost souls, man. I mean, it's nothing but lost souls. Because sadly, if the lights go out, they don't know what to do.
Right. Because AI will tell them their history at that point.
Yeah.
AI will tell them their story. They'll be like, who am I? And AI will type up something up.
You know, this is what I don't understand about the world that we in. It's how I know that the world that we're in isn't what we think it is, and we won't know until we die. You know, what we won't know until I believe it's dimensional. So I believe we go into the next dimension.
Yes.
So I won't believe we don't understand. We don't know about the second or first dimension. We know about it, but we don't remember it. You know, and I think we get glimpses every once in a while. We just don't understand what these dreams are. And I believe we get to the fourth dimension, we'll understand the third dimension and how we was, you know, savagely tricked through the third dimension on the time that we spent, because our ancestors aren't going to have the same feelings as we do because they didn't experience computers and, you know,
because they were
things
closer
like
to
that.
the source.
Exactly. So
I was reflecting upon a question that someone had asked me once when they were talking about, well, how do you know God is? And they were using that religious tone that people like to use. And I was like, you know, God is how I know. They said, how do you know? Talking about how do you know God is? I said, God is how I know. I said, well, what do you mean by that? See, when you talk about this God, I can tell that you're talking about it from a third person position, because you keep on looking in the sky, or you'll look somewhere like that, or you'll flip through some pages, and then you'll have something to tell me after that. And so for me, I'm not flipping through any pages. I am those pages. And I'm not looking up into the sky. I'm the one looking. and thus how I know. And so it's like I was communicating. In fact, you know, in many ways, I was being tested by myself. I was testing because the person that was questioning me, you know, for me, you know, it's like I don't know if you ever see a cell, a single cell, and you see all the contents that's inside of that cell. It's all relevant to the existence of that cell. That said, this is the reason why I protect myself from my enemy, but I don't despise anyone. You understand? I protect those I love from my enemies. And if my enemies cross, you know, a line, then they have to deal with me. But I'm not going around with the banner of a hatred or something like that, right? I'm not looking around for trouble. But for me, it's like everything is somehow relevant to each other. You understand? You know, how would I improve my physical anatomy if there wasn't a resistance in the weight room? You understand? How would I improve my mental qualities without some kind of resistance? And as a person, as a people, how could we be a better person if we were not challenged by something that was capable of challenging us? You understand? So out of that is the same cycle all over again, just like when I manifested as a seed in the loins of my father. I was challenged because there was millions of other manifestations that were fighting for the same objective. But I was the one that penetrated. You understand?
Gotcha.
So, and this is why, you know, you'll see stories talking about 144,000 chosen. This is why I can understand statements like that, because I'm looking at everything and I'm saying, well, you know, everybody is not going to get it. That's why when I was talking about unity, I'm talking about where it's relevant.
I
And this is
got
why I'm often questioning myself and challenging myself, not to despise or belittle or shame, but to evaluate whether I'm right and exact where I am. And knowing that, you know, this is a continuation. It won't stop today. It won't stop tomorrow, so to speak. Every day of my life, there are fruits to consume. There is road to walk, and so on. So that's that's why I have to be patient with myself, because it means that oftentimes it can be very lonely. But lonely is not always bad for me, because sometimes it allows me to think. But sometimes I have to realize, well, you know, how is my communication? Because after all, I'm not existing here on this planet by myself, which means I have to strengthen my social qualities. There's balancing. It's a balancing act, if anything. Am I able to communicate and socialize, or have I become too much of a hermit? You know, where am I in this balance, this equilibrium? Let me pause this for a minute. I wanted to remember to put something up here on the screen, because I do have a petition that I'm putting forth um, on behalf of my son to be, who, in a matter of a month now, or weeks, I should say, is to be born.
Oh
And
snap!
so, what's that?
I said, oh snap! You couldn't have a
Yes,
baby.
indeed. Yes, indeed. And the thing is he is being born in the motherland, in the land of
Oh,
my ancestors, and from amongst my people, right? So what I'm putting here is a petition for support from the community, brothers and sisters. If, you know, a father being in the presence of his son, welcoming his son into the world is important to you, then I need to get to where my son is to be born, and the sooner the better, because I need to be there also to help my spouse, and you know, as the weeks start to close in. Also, I would like to be able to manifest the rights of welcoming my son into the world. That includes, you know, some practices that I believe, such as the sheeps. There's 2 sheeps that we take, um, you know, on behalf of the child, in the process of his naming, uh, his all of these things, right? So whatever support the family is able to put forth, it doesn't have to be the number that you see there. If anything, just enough to be able to purchase the ticket for the flight. That's the main thing that's important for me, is the ticket for the flight. Anything else, you know, is much appreciated. As you see, you know, I'm getting together like different things. You see, if you go to the GoFundMe, you'll see there's some pictures of the bedding I've got, the clothing, some clothing items. I've got also some these cloth diapers and whatnot. So there it is. There's the GoFundMe. Show your support, show your help, because I would really like to make this happen. It's
you got
critically
that link
important.
on your page?
I could put the link right here. It's not on the commentary yet, but I can put it in the chat.
No, you need to put it on your page. You need to have it on your page,
You mean
or
on
at least in the description of all your videos now.
Yeah, I could do that too. Because I'm gonna explain some reasons why this is very important. Let me go to.
Copy the link.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it on the. It's going to be in the description. I'm trying to do this quickly because there's a lot of clicking I'm doing right now to get to this. So look in the description. It'll be in the description right here. Edit description. There we go. I'll do like this. Support the journey. And I'll keep the title that's right here.
There you go. It's easier to hit it that way.
Mm-hmm. Because one thing I will tell you, this has been a challenge for me is trying to emphasize the importance of family. Like I was talking about at the beginning of this live, that many of us, we have different pursuits, right? We have different things we're striving for and fighting for. For me, it's always been family. It's always been about family because that's the one thing that I haven't been, that I've been missing after the first early 5 years of my life. People who know me know that my father was taken away from me through violent actions, taking his life away when I was about a little over 5 years old. But so that left a certain dent or certain wound in my heart regarding the importance and the value of family. For people who have family, you may not be able to identify with what it's like not to have family, not
Right.
to have a father, a mother, a brother, or a sister. So when you finally have an opportunity to start to create your own family, it's this is a big deal. So and this is in a day and age where in so many ways the father is being belittled as an important factor in the family structure. I'm one of those who are very traditional when it comes to this, that I believe a father is a critical part of the family. So me being there to welcome my son into this world is important. Me being there to be able for him to hear the chants that I will deliver to his right ear and his left ear are important. Me being there to be able to present the two sheep is important. Me being there to announce his name is important. You understand? And me being there to be able to comfort my wife in a time where she will, at that point, will be under much stress. You understand? Much, you know, pain before, during, and after. All the things that a mother will go through. My presence is necessary to be there. That's what this GoFundMe is for. I put in the content of the GoFundMe, some of the details, so that way it's crystal clear what you're donating to. And to be honest with you, when I get the ticket and all that, well, you would see me there, so that would be the proof that I'm there for the ticket. But whatever the case may be, I don't have no problem with establishing what do you want to call transparency, authenticity of what I'm doing with anybody who helps this endeavor going on right now. And the thing that you want to think about is more to it than just me. You wouldn't be doing it for me, but you would be doing it for what you see in this picture right there. You see the fetus. The fetus is obviously not a fetus right now. The fetus is a baby just getting bigger right now, waiting for the day for him. Notice I said him. to be pushed up to this world. So, yes, indeed. Thank you for the congratulations. Please share this, share the link, and my prayers, my hopes, my desires are that I'm successful for this. The weeks are counting down, so the time is really pushing because I need to be there. So that said, I'm gonna take that off of there now. Yeah, that's been the challenge for me because most people, they will consult their family, they will consult somebody, this, that, and the other. Me, I only have myself to consult. And for me, I've often said this: my family is my community. And one of the things that I've appreciated when I went to Sierra Leone is the feeling of family. You understand? Being amongst my kindred, my ethnic kindred, my own blood, um, being amongst the land that my ancestors once walked upon, and all of that was sacred. Is sacred to me. You understand? I understand that many of us, not many, but there are those of us who've detached from our story, or not everybody has that story. I understand that some of us, we were already here, and our ancestor is here in the state. Some of us, um, we some of us value their biblical based ancestry, meaning they it's not that it's biblical based, but they find that their reference points are biblical based regarding their Hebrew history. So I have respect for them. Um, for me, I find that all of this blood is in me. You understand? Pumping through my veins, and literally, in a literal sense, because my blood is capable of feeding everybody, but nobody can feed my blood. Go figure, right? It's O, in case you're wondering. Everybody can get some of this, but I can't get none of yours, um, unless you're O type. But I thought that was kind of an interesting science to know that uh, this genetic code that I have, that's what the blood manifests. Anyway, man, I would really like to be able to stand there as my son comes into this world and see his eyes open and see him, eye to eye, and for him to be able to hear his father's voice, because these are some of the things that I don't want to say I was shortchanged, because destiny is what it is, but I missed out a lot, or I didn't get to observe some of that which some other people have been able to observe when it comes to your parents. All I was able to do was dream and fantasize of what it must be like, to be able to say, "Hey, pops, what's going on? I just came back from college. Da, 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 this, that, and the other," and chop it up and break bread, and your father be able to talk to you like, "Yeah, you really? Oh, and to be able to have an extensive conversation. I haven't had that experience, but some people have. This is the way the roads go, and so if I did have a sense of envy, it's not a bad envy. It's just a kind of envy that, like, yeah, this is a special gift of a blessing that those of you who have had that experience have got to have. But now, like I said, I'm in the position of fatherhood, and for me, I want to hold on to that value as much as possible and be at every point, where it matters. I'll tell you this: there are some communities, especially where the sisters in some African countries, they become afraid when the husband leaves or goes or has to go for whatever reason. They become afraid whether or not the husband is going to return when they have a child. In fact, that's one of the cries you will hear, like, "Oh, the husband or the man left and he never talked, he never said anything, he never got back, and now she's got this child all by herself." These are some of the stories that you hear. And personally, I'm not trying to fit that script. You understand? So even I've been here, I'm a technician. I've been teching away, but and my hope had been that I would be able to do enough, and it would be sufficient enough to beat the deadline, or I want to say it this way, to beat the lifeline, because it's not death that's coming, it's life that's coming. So to beat the lifeline, and it didn't happen that way. I don't know if you guys remember, I had vehicle problems. I even mentioned it on one of the lives, and that didn't get resolved. So it is nobody's fault, but this is the fight of life. This is the struggle of life. And when these things happen, it's like a domino effect. If that problem happens, then now these problems happen because boom, 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 and there it is. The struggle is real. So anyway, enough of that. Hopefully, my point has been driven in for that. That's the book. That's these are all chapters. But one of the things, okay, I'll do it. I'll do it. One of the things that I often talk to my other half about is, if there is a problem in the world, you give birth to the solution, right? I'm not talking about birthing Superman, but maybe I am, because as the original people, we are super. We just somehow we forgot that part. And I think that if we tap back into what made us super, we'd be amazed. In fact, one of the things I was going to talk about was some things that I reflected upon regarding the spark of life. Our the very seeds that come out of our Father's loin, how they have this glow of light. There's literally light in the seed of your Father. And I was thinking, like, isn't that interesting? That there's light, and that when it penetrates the egg of the mother within the mother's womb, there's a spark that happens.
Well, yeah, I see that.
That literally they've observed the spark. So I was like, that's heavy. And the spark, somebody compared it to the light of the sun. Like when the sun has a supernova, when a star has a supernova and explodes, right. It's like a boom. I was like, wow. So you're telling me on a micro scale to manifest what this is that we are. We like to use the word human. To manifest this, we have to become a miniature supernova. There's in that process, this, the torus, the cell division, and all that occurs. I'm just saying, to me, these things are very, very heavy for this brain to deal with. But as I said, if we really understood what this is that we are, yeah, we are Superman. We literally have brought an entire species of being into existence. I don't know if I said too much or not, but we have literally brought in an entire species. 6,000 years ago, we decided to take it upon ourselves to civilize said species that we brought into being. And to me, I'm just thinking to myself, when you know that the God is infinite, ever living, I'm thinking to myself, how many times have we done this? How long have we been doing this? How long have we been at this? Because infinity is a long time. And I'm asking myself, did we forget something along the way that has caused us to be at the level that we are now, to where we don't even know the environment we live in, that we exist in, that we've forgotten our very nature, that we've forgotten, the very condition of being, the rules of engagement in reality, in any of this. And so then I looked, okay, I'll go back in time a little bit. When I looked into my daughter's eyes, right when she was a little baby, and I knew something right there was divine. It's not that the physical person that I'm looking at. There was something there that was like, what do I want to say, intuitive, maybe, innate. What do you call that? it was in accordance with the nature of our being. There was something there that told me that I didn't have to read about this. You understand? To know that our souls, if you will, our essence was connected. And I say that with all of my children each time. These are the reasons why these moments are important to me. You know, in Africa, the family structure that I'm a part of, I would be identified as a chief, or so I've been told. And I thought about that because I thought about a divine dictate to be fruitful and multiply, right? Like, And I thought about how the family I came out of and how broken it was, and I often thought about how do I remedy this situation? And as I mentioned just a minute ago, when you see a problem in the world, you have to give birth to its solution. You have to bring about its solution through you. You'd be surprised at okay, maybe I'm not trying to give anybody a reproduction lesson, but there's an aspect about it that I think we forget because we've been taught by the adversary that the only thing that gets inherited or passed down to your child is your physical makeup, your genetics. But what you may not realize is that your whole of you is all about your makeup. You're not divided. Your Merkabah is not divided. You are whole. You are complete, even as you manifest. So that being said, when you reproduce, you're taking all of what's in you, mind, body, and soul, and passing it on. Mind, body, and soul, you're passing it on. Even let me share a sort of a tale with you, because in this tale is a science. There was a man, according to a certain text, who was in charge of raising sheep. Right? He was in charge of raising the sheep, and out of these sheep, there were some that were speckled. There were some that were like scraggly, and some that were black. And his objective was to do a thing, because he was told that all the sheep that were of one type are mine, but all that are the other type you can keep. So, him wanting to take advantage of this situation, he raised the sheep a certain way to and placed before their attention these reeds, and he stripped down the reeds so that they would be laid bare. Right. So as the sheep were eating, they would be staring at the reeds, and as a result, it would affect the way that their offspring would come about. You understand? And it would make it easier for him to take the scraggly or the white ones and the mixed or the ones that had the gray and whatnot in it, and then the black ones, and separate them so that when the owner of the sheep originally he would come, he could say, well, here's all yours and here's mine. Now, I shared that for a reason. Our minds, brothers, and maybe this is something you'll think about the next time you lay with your lady, your minds have an influence on your seed, the state of your mind. Think of it like a Xerox machine. You know, when you Xerox or take a photo of something, it's capturing that moment, like that, instantly. Your mind, at the moment of ejaculating into your wife, and I'm not trying to sound graphic or anything, I'm speaking very plainly. So any sensitive ears, well, maybe I should have put that disclaimer before I said it, but any given case, your mind, I'm talking about your deep mental state. I'm not talking about any miscellaneous surface stuff. I'm talking about the mental state that you are in at that time. When you ejaculate into your woman, that is captured, and it influences the seeds that are now being, emitted into her womb. So think about that. Think about, why it's important for you to obtain a wife that you are actually attracted to. I'm not talking about necessarily physical attraction. I'm talking about that you really are into her. You're into her heart. You notice that scripture, for example, they always say when a man meets his wife and they are having relations, he knew her. Those are the words used. Anytime you hear someone in scriptural context saying, and he knew her, that means they were in bed together. But understand, it means more than that. It means that he was mentally in tuned to her. So that as a result, they were even able to predict the type of children they would have. When they would name their child, they would name their child not some random made up name like we like to do nowadays in the States. So, oh, this will be cute. Let's name him LaQuisha Tisha. What? What does that mean? Oh, no, but it sounds cool. But our ancestors used to actually name our children with something that meant something virtuous that would take their family to the next level in whatever way, that was necessary. Like I said, they birthed their heroes. You want to know where our heroes are at? We've got to birth them. If we're complaining about reparations, any type of thing like this, why haven't we raised the person that would know how to do it? Because right now, we're in a time of confusion. And why are we in a time of confusion? Because few people know what to do. Few people know what to do. Like the brother said earlier, many people have got all kinds of stuff to say. Everybody knows everybody's got an answer. I'm not here telling you that I've got an answer. I'm only expressing an observation. You do with it what you will. Reject it, take it, leave it. That's your choice. But I can only express an observation. And if it's valid for me, it's valid for me. You understand? Take your spouse seriously. See, this is our book. This is the book of us now. The book of Deuteronomy, Numbers, Leviticus. Those are their stories of our ancestors. And there's perhaps wisdom that can be extracted. But I don't think that we have these stories to just be parroting them all of our days. Because, for example, I learned that 2 + 2 is 4 through the book of mathematics. But you don't see me carrying around the book of mathematics everywhere I go. I take what is useful and apply it when it's called for. When it comes to, oh, dang, I got to pay this bill. I got to pay these tickets or whatnot. And it costs this. I have this much left. Take away that. Add this. Subtract that. Multiply that. Oh, I have enough. But I manifest it when it's necessary. For example, if the matter is about righteousness or unrighteousness, it's not rocket science. That's why I'm saying, either you're being righteous or you're not. It's not rocket science. You know what you're doing. I know what I'm doing. If I approach a brother and I need to evaluate my angle and the brother's angle to make sure we're both on our square. Suppose I'm the one that's not on my square. Suppose he's not on his square. How would I know? I'm saying this to brothers and sisters because oftentimes we put ourselves in our own ramble because we weren't paying attention. We weren't looking both ways. We weren't noticing that the light is not on green. And we find ourselves in a whole heap of mess. That's what we find ourselves in today. And people are they've been taking advantage of us. We claim that we went through a phase where we were let free, but we haven't owned it yet. Maybe there was, a point where we've been granted, we've been emancipated. We've been granted our freedom, but we haven't owned it yet. I'm not convinced that we've owned it yet, because if we owned it, we wouldn't need to be begging for anybody for reparations in the first place. We wouldn't need to ask anybody.
We definitely don't own it. We definitely don't own freedom. You're right about that.
The fact that we got to ask somebody, the fact that we got to ask, excuse me, please give us our reparations. You owe us our reparations. Are you going to give us our reparations? When? I'll vote for you if you give us our reparations. The fact that we got to do that tells you that we haven't owned our freedom. If you are free, then live it, manifest it, and get what's yours by right. Plain and simple. And if you can't do it, then like I said, you have to give birth to one who does. So when you lay down with your lady, what's in your mind? You understand? What's in your mind when you look up into the eyes of your man, wives? What's in their minds when you look into the eyes of your woman, brothers? What's in your mental state? You understand? Don't just look at the twinkle in her eyes. Look at that, because that might help you with getting the job done. But you got to go in deeper than that. And that might actually make the experience more valuable for the both of you, because you actually are in tuned. You give birth to your hero. But how do you give birth to your hero? When your hero is finally born, what kind of culture and environment are you raising? What garden field are you raising him up in? What are you putting before his eyes and ears to hear? Like I said, a baby doesn't know anything. You may think like, oh, this is fun. That's because you were taught this was fun. That doesn't mean it's actually fun. You were taught it was fun, and it was hyped up to you to be fun. But maybe Mickey Mouse isn't fun at all. Maybe Mickey Mouse is a manifestation of the devilries, the devilish acts of the devils. And you just have been used to it and accepted it and say, well, this is for children. See, it says on the box for ages 3 to 6. So because someone labeled it on the box, you become dumb, deaf, and blind, and just, yeah. So you know, my words I like to say often is snap out of it. Wake up. Raise your hero, and raise like you would raise anything that you would want to be wholesome. Many of us are talking about, you know, we got all kinds of brothers and sisters who are on point when it comes to the herbology, when it comes to the natural medicines and whatnot. But now we need to make sure that environment is, you know, essentially beneficial to the development of our child who has no awareness of this manifestation. The brain is a brand new piece of paper. Nothing is written on it yet. The first moment that he opens his eyes or she opens her eyes and sees you, mother and father, that's the first impression she or he may get. And you got the doctors in the room and the nurses too. But I'm talking about what factors as important, because you are the ones that will keep on being remembered every day as your presence, you know, before the child repeats day in and day out. You become understood. Look, every time my children see me and look me in the eyes, they see someone they know, they remember. They see someone that if I tell them to sit down, they know that this is coming from Baba, and they sit down. Why? Is it because of fear? No, it's not because of fear. It's because they respect me, and they see that, you know, I can have a bold voice if necessary. Like, hey, you sit down. Well, they might not listen too much. They'll listen a little bit and wait and see if they can inch their way to doing something else, and, you know, be children. But they trust me. You understand? And trust is a form of love. You want to talk about love? There's no love of trust. Many people talk about love being blind. That's because they don't know love. If you knew love, you know that love requires trust. Trust requires knowledge. And I think many of you who've suffered because of the illusionary love that you have is because you were missing the knowledge. Many of us would have been more properly positioned with our, you know, our mate, our person, our wife, husband, had we been more knowledgeable about our pursuit. You understand? In addition to our chasing desires, couple that with our pursuit of knowledge. Who are you anyway? I see what I like, but who are you? Who are you? And he knew her, says the scriptures, and he knew her. So what do you know? Do you even know her? Do you know her? Do you know this person you're laying with? Do you know this person you're giving the kisses to? Do you know this person you're hugging? Do you know her? Do you know him? And I'm not talking about it in the same way, because the natures are not the same, contrary to the propaganda of the West. There's a difference between feminine knowledge and masculine knowledge. There is a difference. And properly manifested, they interlock much like Legos or a puzzle piece. Are you there, brother? I don't know. You might, because I'll when I open this door, it rushes in like the voice of many waters. But my whole point is, brothers and sisters, if we see the problem, and how do I know we see the problem? Because all across media, social media, you name it, and even before social media, I remember being on the porch step where we could identify the devilry, the source of the devil. We knew who the opponents were. We knew who the adversary were. We knew what the problem was. You understand? Even before there was internet, I could remember that. But the thing we often forgot is that the solution comes from us. It's like this. The people who set it off will be also the same people who set it straight. The people, in other words, those who begun all this will be the ones who are able to solve the problem. It's not going to come by us begging the very people who are instrumental, whether ancestrally or presently, in the conditions that we find ourselves in. Yes, they get the blame. I know that some people are like, well, you can't be blamed. Why you got to blame? Because that's where it goes. Why keep biting our tongue when we need to say things as it is? It doesn't absolve me from any ignorance that I might manifest of my own self. But an enemy is an enemy, and an enemy does what an enemy does. And so you call it as it is. While at the same time, we don't remain chained down. Like, oh man, what do we do? There's nothing we can do because the enemy is right there. Like I say, if you want reparations, you'll have it yesterday. But obviously, it takes it's a lot easier to pick up a heavy box with two arms rather than one. And right now, we're struggling just to get a finger together, let alone an arm or a hand. So, that's our story. If our story was written down in a book, I would say that it's not even finished yet. When we read these stories of old, you hear a beginning, like an introduction part where the person was born and here's the mother and father and they're doing this, and he walked about and he talked to the people and he did that and this, that, and the other, and then here's the conclusion. But our story is still ongoing. We're in the part where the drama is happening. The main events, the part that makes the book worth reading. We're in that part still. We're not in the happily ever after part yet. And if you ever notice, it took something for it to get to that happily ever after part. It took the warrior fighting his fight, the enemy being defeated. It took all that stuff to happen first before you're happily ever after, before your peace, before your comfort, before your after difficulty comes ease. All of that. So
that was a great analogy. It was.
Yeah. That's what we have to do. We have to start birthing we have to start consciously inseminating our wives. And our wives need to consciously accept the deliverance. That's how we will raise our heroes. Often all we talk about is the heroes of old. No matter who we are, if we're talking about Moshe, Yeshua, Dawood, Hebrew heroes. If we're talking about Asar, Aset, Tehuti, Heru, heroes of old. You understand? But what about the heroes of now? Because, like I said, we're talking about the book of you, the book of us. So who are the heroes in our book? We know what the heroes in the older books were. We know the heroes of the Metu Neter. We know the heroes of all the scriptural based books. We know about those heroes, but who are our heroes now? Where are they? And if we don't have any, why aren't we bringing them into being? That's all I'm saying. We keep. I think we were looking. When we look, we're looking. We're looking in the sky. We're looking in the ground. We're looking, I don't know, in some building somewhere, instead of an awareness, self-awareness. They say knowledge of self. He who knows himself will know his Lord. That's what the book. That's what you Bible readers. That's what your book is saying. Know yourself, you will know your Lord. How basic mathematical can you get? How basic level mathematical can you get? That's not even extra dimensional conversation right there. That's just straightforward, right at you. You look in the sky, you look to the east, look to the west. Why not just look and think about the one looking? Why not deal with that one, the one who's looking? Start there. Start there so we can start manifesting our warriors, manifesting our men and women of courage, of our men. Here's the thing, because there's a lot of conversations today about how bad our sisters are, how unfaithful how lazy our brothers are, how unfaithful our sisters are. These are the conversations stirred up today. So much so that people, we've got to go to the Philippine Islands to find a wife. You understand? Or go to Brazil or Colombia or someplace. But if that's the case, then how do we heal? How do we bring about the remedy to this? Because if we are the critical people, you know what? I believe that the drama that the world is facing today is only solvable through us. I'm talking about us right here, the melanated people of the US of A. Nobody else. There's going to continue to be drama, bombs, drop everything until we recognize that. And that's why they're able to keep on doing it, because they're taking advantage of our dumbness, deafness, and blindness. They know we're not paying any attention, that we don't have no clue what the heck is going on around us, let alone within us, as they annihilate us through poisons and diseases and criminal actions. They know this. And so when your enemy is not able to be aware of what's happening, you take advantage. Oh, they don't know? They don't even know who they are? Oh, okay. While they're confused like that, let's go ahead and attack one of their allies or potential allies. Or let's go ahead and invade areas that are critical to, some beneficial purpose that our ancestors once knew about. And while they're arguing with that, let's go ahead and deface things. So as they're trying to get an understanding of themselves, we can say, well, this was us anyway, and not really you, and lie to them in their face about images where we can look at it. We can look at our images in stone statues and not even recognize ourselves. That's the state that we are in right now. Or you can see your own image, your own likeness, and they tell you, well, that's not you, and you believe it. Well, he said it was a Greek man. Come on, man. You ain't never seen no Greek with lips looking like that, with a protruding jaw that looks like that. You ain't never seen a Caucasian built that way. And you can't even recognize your own image while standing before you. So when it comes to the unity effort, we got work to do. But one of the things that'll help us if we stop making the excuses of what can be and what cannot be. Because if we're so powerful, if we're supermen and women, all things are possible. This is what the people, the book thumpers will say. What do they say? All things are possible through God, right? Well, if I manifest, then guess what? I got work to do. We got work to do. That's all I'm saying, and I don't even know the full potential. I'm not even manifesting the full potential, I should say, because knowing is with me. I just have to tap into it. That's why, you ever notice sometimes you'll sit there and you'll be thinking about something, you'll be trying to figure out a conclusion, and all of a sudden the solution is right there. You didn't pick up a book, you didn't Google anything, but you know exactly what needs to be done to solve a certain problem. Where'd it come from? Where'd that come from? You understand? Because knowledge, the knowingness is with you. There's a saying, even a chronic saying, wheresoever you turn your face, there's the face of the Most High. There's the face of God. And like I keep telling people, I know we want to keep on making this distance. Well, that's the part of our problem. We keep on making this distance between what this is and supreme being. Supreme being. And as a result, we become weak. How is it that you could say that God is powerful and mighty, but you fail to manifest? How does that work? How does that? God is powerful and mighty, but you can't manifest anything? Yet you read books about people parting water, parting seas, making turning bread and manna and feeding thousands of people, but you can't manifest anything, and yet the Most High is closer to you than your jugular vein? Do the math, please. Explain that to me. How does that calculate? I'm just citing the text that people like to shove in faces so many times, but yet, where's the manifestation? Many of you are waiting for the Messiah to return. Why aren't you manifesting the Messiah? Why aren't you manifesting the environment in which a Messiah would return to, even if I was to think celestial or cosmic? A cosmic return, a celestial return, however, whatever level you want to put that on, it needs the environment. Let me show you something here. I got these plants right here now. They're two different kinds of plants. I don't know if you can see them because they're green and my thing blocks out the green. This is lavender. The lavender plant needs a certain kind of a soil to grow in. It can't be too moist. It can't be too dry. It's got to be, a kind of a balance. Otherwise, its leaves will start to shrivel up and it'll die, right? This right here, I don't know what the ancestors used to call this, but somebody wanted to name it rosemary at some point in time. I like both of these plants because they're very beneficial. This is very beneficial if you're doing fish recipes, if you like fish and things like that, add some rosemary to it and you'll be doing yourself a blessing. But it needs more moisture in its soil for it to grow, but it needs to be in a well ventilated condition. My point in showing you this is, in order for me to get any results out of this, I have to grow it in. I have to have the right environment for it. You understand? I have to have the right environment, and if I don't have the right environment for it, I'm not going to get any results. I'm not going to get the results that I'm looking for. Last I checked, for you Bible thumpers and Quran thumpers, the books encourage you to seek knowledge and to pursue with your eyes open. You understand? It forbids blindness. It forbids dumbness and deafness. That being said, whatever it is that you think will arrive or believe, because many people are like, well, it's not thinking, brother. It's not okay. Whatever you say you believe will arrive. What preparations have you made for such an occasion? What environment do you have for such an occasion to cater to such a situation? What is it? Many people say, well, they believe themselves to be amongst the 144,000 chosen ones. Really? There's billions of people on the face of this earth. And how can you be so sure that you are amongst the 144,000 if that is how I'm to take the context that you're giving me? All I'm saying here, family, is that a reality check has to be had. Some of us have become so blindly confident, not with our eyes open, but blindly confident in foolery, superstition, twisted taboos, and, for lack of better words, lies. So much so that when someone speaks frank anymore, you can't even, you're not willing to accept it. You're not willing to connect with it and try it on for size. And so that's why we can't have these conversations, because people will catch feelings. They get hurt because someone stepped on their perceived idea of sacred. I'm bringing to you sacred, and when I'm saying I'm doing it, who am I versus who are you? I'm your brother. I don't see myself on any step higher or lower. You know, when I shake your hand, I'm shaking your hand on equal ground. But each of us have a part to play. I told you already, I'm a technician. What does that mean? That means my mind has been educated to fix broken things. So when I see something that's off, I'm like, wait a minute, that's not operating the way it should be. It's off. There's a microchip missing or something. You know, the server is skipping. I can hear it. What I'm saying is the same when it comes to us as a people. I see the brokenness, but even as I observe the brokenness, I don't see defeat. I see broken. I don't see defeat. And even if I reflect upon the knowledge passed down from long ago, it can be fixed. And now I'm going to tell you something special. So, dear sisters, listen up, because in this part of the story, it's where you come in. You sisters are the ones who will fix us, our brokenness. And right now, it may not seem like it because they are having their way with manipulating you in the world on
I
so
got
many levels.
jacked, bro.
What's that?
I got jumped down.
All right.
Jumped down.
Okay.
I'll
I
catch you
appreciate
on
you
the
for
next.
coming in, brother. I'm going to be wrapping this up pretty soon myself.
All right.
But yes, indeed, anytime, you're welcome.
All right, bro.
Yes, indeed. Peace and blessings. But dear family, as I was saying, our sisters are the solution to our brothers' brokenness. Our sisters are the solution to our brothers' broken state. When our sisters are able to put the pieces back together that make us up of the man that we are, then the solution to the problems of the world, it'll be found in that. It will be found in that. But just as, you know, there has to be a solution for the brokenness of a man, there has to be the solution for the state of the damage that's been being done to our sisters. And how can I even know this? How can I know that that's the solution? Because it's the very thing that our sisters are being challenged with and being taught against this very time that we exist in. They're being taught to ignore the black man, to separate or to see him as not important, not integral, not a major part of the story, to see him as, you know, something that, you know, if you maybe you if you feel like it, okay, there he is. See him as not a factor. And when the truth is actually the opposite. The grime that's going on into the world, that's going on in the world, necessitates the need for the man to be in his position of strength, of protection, not of tyranny, but of strength and of protection. Because when that's not in place, then it's easy to manipulate any hearts and minds of any dear sisters who are susceptible. See, each of us have a strength. When the sisters are strong, they can't manipulate you because you're like, nah, you see it a mile away. Just like you do when you see a brother who's on some BS. You see, I heard once, I saw it a mile away. You see it a mile away. But the same would be for when it comes to the games, the trickery of the enemy, the trickery of the adversary, who's doing all kinds of games, even as you see it today. They're revealing their hand so plainly, so boldly, for all eyes to see. They're letting you know the kind of game that they're playing with us as a people. You know, like even the brother put it, they're looking to see who's still believing in them by doing what they do. Who's still believing in them? But the moment that our sisters start identifying an importance in their men again, and start picking up the broken pieces, some says, "Well, what's that guy? Why is that my problem?" Because you're the only one that can do it. Why can't he do it himself? Because he's broken. That's what happens when you're broken. You can't put yourself back together. You're broken. But there's something in the essence of a sister. There's something in her energy that gets that job done. There's something in the nature of the sister that's able to get that job done. And like I said, this goes all the way back to ancient stories. This is exactly what Aset did when she found her husband, Asar, broken. She got everything, all of her powers, all of her support systems, all of her allies together, and they pursued and pursued and pursued until they found every single broken piece of Asar and brought him back together. When they brought him back together, they brought him to life. Asar, as mighty as he was, couldn't bring himself together again when he was broken by the enemy. As mighty as he was brave, he was mighty, he was smart, he was full of wisdom and everything. But when he was broken up by the enemy, he couldn't put himself back together. It was Aset, his wife, that put him back together with all of her resources. So I'm just letting you know the remedy of our time. I would just say this. I would suggest this for people who may doubt at the power of the sister. It's that very power that they are manipulating you into your politics with. Why do you think they had the sister dancing and performing? Because they understand how the sister affects the mind of the black man. They understand the power of influence that our sisters have over the black man. Well, rightly guided, rightly manifested, the black man becomes strong. He becomes awake. He restores. He remembers. That means he comes back together again. And that which he forgot, he remembers. He remembers why fight. He remembers why stand, why live. So that's that. So, dear family, I'm hoping, that, when I speak these words, that something out of it, is, you connect with as relevant. Nothing is meant to offend. But the thing is if I'm going to speak from the heart, I have to speak authentically and leave no words behind as they come. Because to do anything else, it wouldn't be real to me. It wouldn't be real from me. I want to say these words. I want to conclude with these words that I have right here for you. Was it worth it, my birth, in the sequence of birth? You know what? Hold on. Because I'm starting to say that, but I like to do this little music thing to go with it. That way, if you desire to listen to this at another point in time, you could do so. And I think this one right here. Okay, I work with this. Yeah. Was it worth it? My birth, I began. I saw a glow in my seed. Tiny sun, it would seem, made me wonder at what other spark of light emitted when my seed meets her seed. We manifest yet again and again. Why be? The question and the answer are very interesting. It takes on the pain of what I begin from the very moment of excitement, of love, to me, a measure of enlightenment. Be. And so we are. Okay, there's that. So I got that off my chest. And I had a bit of wisdom that was just passed to me, recently from my wife. She asked me this question, and it might seem just like a simple, you know, you know, conversation or whatnot. But sometimes when people talk to me, if I'm in a certain state of mind, when I hear them, I hear something deep. It's like whoa, that was deep. And that's kind of how this was. She was saying, because I was in my mind. She says, "What are you thinking about? What are you thinking?" Is what she said. What are you thinking? And I said, about what's inside you. And then she said in reply, "It is wonderful. That's how it is." Talking about what's inside her womb. It was just simple words. It is wonderful. That's how it is. I was like, wow, that's you just got to play that and just hear that a certain way. It's wonderful. It is wonderful. I can't get her accent. She's got more of a native uh, Sierra Leonean accent. But if you could just imagine that accent saying these words, it is wonderful. That is how it is. And I was like, well, yeah. She don't even know she said something deep to me, because I didn't. You just said something deep to me. But that's how it connected. Yeah, and that's how life is. Through all the pain, through all the agony, through all the devilry that we have to endure, the Most High gave us a solution: be fruitful and multiply. Be fruitful, multiply. And the solution is in this, because that's the very thing they want to try to stop from happening. They've gone through extremes to discourage you from doing just that. They've made it so you don't even like the idea of being fruitful and multiply. But it's in that our solution is to be had. That's just what it is. It is wonderful. That's how it is. Yeah. Dear family, I appreciate your viewing this live. I'm trying to be as concise as I can. I know sometimes these lives can last super long, but I'm trying to, improve on that. And with that said, I think we've got to a point where we can conclude our live. I want to remind you, if I can, for those that are watching this, to consider supporting the efforts of this journey, so that a father can be in the presence of the birth of his son coming into the world, and not only be present, but be able to manifest the due rights, the due traditional rights of his son, including that includes the circumcision, the naming, the 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 the, the, uh, the sacrificial animals, which traditionally are sheep or goats, um, to be able to hear the words from his father, chanting the sacred formula in his right and left ear. Those are the things. These are very important, um, and especially to be in the presence to comfort both mother and child. So there is that, and the link is in the description as well. And yes, okay, dear brothers and sisters, that's all I have for you today. And I want to say I appreciate your time and attention. Asante Sana. And I greet you going out. Salam alaikum, shalom, hotep, peace and blessings be with you, dear family. I'm looking eastward. I am looking eastward. Let's see here. Where is that at? Where is it at? You know what? Actually, let's play this one first. Yeah. Okay, dear family. Have a blessed rest of your day. Take care.
If love is the quest, let's put love to test. If the rain gets you wet, let's dive into the bliss. While the world is a mess, just place your head on my chest. If love is the quest.
Soul travels along the way. May I have this divine dance, one that's so intimate and at the same time from a distance. I take a long glance, the way she moves that hourglass. I'm reminded no time to take life for granted. All the signs are hinted whenever I spin her around, enjoying every vantage point is purpose. Every passing moment a curtain closed. I follow my heart and it shows. Amazed by the show, she rocks me awake whenever I look around and around. How the earth makes me smile. Will I ever stop? Nobody knows. Pondering her path, she's so mystical.
Let's put love to test. If the rain gets you wet, let's dive into the bliss. While the world is a mess, just place your head on my chest.
She loves the way I caress. Sacred foreplay, let the wind flow. Watch how I take back the sacred meaning of the rainbow. She kissed me high, she kissed me low. The breeze flow by, wings spread slow. I touch her soul by the thigh, then watch the inner pleasure glow. Something's in the air, cause I'm high. Raindrops fall and share sweet memories of morning dew. So what do we do, me and you? Will time ever let me stay? Lie next to you, earth body may I relax your mind, fly us beyond the sky. We need no reason beyond heavy breathing, moans and sighs. Fact is I'm feeling you deep inside.
Love is the quest, let's put love to test. If the rain gets you wet, let's dive into the bliss. While the world is a mess, just place your head on my chest. If love is the quest, if love is the quest, let's put love to test. If the rain gets you wet, let's dive into the bliss. While the world is a mess, just place your head on my chest. If love is the quest,
if love is the quest. Like water takes fire, your words take my breath away. Catch up with me, stay by my side, by my side. Looking in, we're looking out from the window sill. Biding time, long enough to make this moment real. At that moment, I knew her. The spiraling of our collective energies, so sexy. Some say it's all just a fantasy. If it's love, then why not just let it be? Alternating night and day, sweet say, love's a quest, giving heartbeats meaning to light the way. If love is the quest, let's put love to test. If the rain gets you wet, let's dive into the bliss. While the world is a mess, just place your head on my chest. If love is the quest,
Light,